What up, meatheads? This is Travis, American Butcher. Let me tell you about my brother-in-law. He is a Salumis whole animal butcher with a background in slaughter. He's lived in Italy, studied under Dario, and has opened up shops and developed food butchery programs at several establishments. And now he is a private chef in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Well, that being said, this last Mother's Day, he surprised everyone by coming into town, and we had family dinner. It was fajitas. It was great. And around the time when people are full, leaving the table, excusing themselves, I pulled out my digital recorder and just asked them a bunch of questions about meat, everything from equine slaughter to living in Italy to working with Dario to charcuterie to Wagyu and Kobe beef. He developed a beef program for what cake bread wine, which is delicious. And they also have a beef herd, and he developed their butcher program and was a part of that. Opened up a shop in Jackson Hole, and we talk about many other things. Just when you listen to this, you will hear it's going to sound like you're sitting at a table. You're going to hear my wife talking, correcting me. You're going to hear my in-laws in the background. You're going to hear my son wanting attention, as well as plates being moved around. So, yeah, I invite you to this dinner. And without further ado, here is my conversation with my brother-in-law, Master Butcher, Joel Cox.
Good cutting enhances the quality of good meat. In his way, the meat cutter is an artist. Poor cutting results in an inferior piece of meat, regardless of quality.
You want to talk meat now, Joel?
Talk meat. Talk meat. Talk meat.
I guess. Or horse slaughter. Did you really slaughter horses?
I went to a horse slaughterhouse.
Is that all they did?
Yeah. Or that butcher that I worked for, that's all he was a horse butcher.
So he'd kill them and then all the way down to retail, or?
He would go and pick up 2 carcasses a week.
Oh, on rail or something like that.
He'd go to the slaughterhouse and they would have the animals, and they're pretty domesticated, like almost like cattle. They weren't like big thoroughbreds or anything like that. And he would pick out the 2 he wanted. They would slaughter them that morning. He'd get the heads, and then they don't age them. They just cool it down, basically 1 day or 2 days, and then he'd receive the carcasses.
So these
the next day
were bred for consumption. They weren't like a byproduct of like the equine industry or riding or anything.
Right? Yeah. No, they were just. Seemed like it.
Was there a mental hurdle, unintended, to get over when? It's pretty good. You guys can laugh. Like a mental hurdle to get over, seeing coming from America where horses are held with a different standard. I guess.
Right. Yeah. They're almost sacrilegious to eat horse here. But yeah, no, I felt like it was very much they were domesticated almost like cattle, and they arrived at the slaughterhouse a few days before, so they got comfortable, got slaughtered, and then he would take the tongue and the offal and the heads the day of the slaughter, and then carcasses either arrived a day or 2 later, but they definitely didn't age, and they trimmed all the fat. They didn't eat any of the fat.
What is
super lean animals?
What is it? Casework, or is it mostly going into like?
Yeah, it was a retail butcher shop on a strip, and like the woman Roberta who brought me there, she was she's like 45 at the time, and she grew up on that street eating horse or whatever. And one of the things they eat is sausage, raw sausage. So it's horse, and it's encased in lamb casing, and you either eat the casing or you can squeeze it out, but it's straight up just ground Ground horse meat, and then spiced. You know, he had like 4 or 5 different spices that you would do, and you could cook them too, but you didn't want to cook it too much because it was so lean. But that was my first time eating horse, was also raw sausage.
And
so it was like,
do you have to worry about E. coli, HN?
Not that I know of. I mean, they certainly were being, you know, it was in a professional slaughterhouse where they.
I just didn't know if the same. Worries were because beef is the only one we have to worry about. We don't have to worry about E. coli with lambs, really.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't know. What do you have to deal with? But like, what do you call like a horse rib steak, a ribeye, or like?
Yeah, they used basically the same names as beef to describe it.
Okay.
You know, as far as the cuts. As far as I remember, I didn't speak as the Italian as good then. But he had a retail butcher shop, so they'd sell, you know, steaks, and then prepared meats, the sausages, and then like breaded steaks and things like that.
Yeah,
salt and boca.
Because I've never worked with horses. Like, I just know that equine opened up a few years ago in America. I was working at a slaughterhouse, and my inspector was like, "Travis, can you believe they're going to let people kill horses in America?" My reaction to her was, "Fuck, Sarah, someone paid me enough, I'd shoot you in the head." But as of now, there's only, I believe, still only 2 equine slaughterhouses, and one's near the Canadian border, and one's near the Mexican border.
For human consumption?
Yeah, but it's only for export. You can't sell it domestically. So you're allowed. President Obama lifted the ban on the slaughter, but not on the consumption. So it's in this weird area, and then also those plants are kept heavily secret because of animal rights groups and things like that. Because people love horses.
Yeah, and in Italy it's only common in basically the very south and north of the country. Like in Tuscany and stuff, they don't eat horse or anything like that. I saw it was predominantly in Piedmonte and then I think Sicily and southern.
Now is it frowned upon in other parts of Italy?
Yeah, because it was it's a bit cheaper, kind of a poorer.
Yeah. And then flavor profile wise, compared to beef, because I think that's what people are going to have a basis on. It's leaner, so there's not going to be that richness.
Right, and it's a little bit sweeter. It has a sweetness to it, both raw and cooked.
Because they're mostly eating grasses, so you're going to get the...
Yeah, it's got that grassy flavor, and again, it's all lean. They would clean all the fat off of it.
And you wouldn't want to age it at that point because you would end up with more of a gamey flavor if you did, I would imagine.
Right. Okay. Yeah, he didn't age anything very long, basically.
And you actually got to break him down when you were there?
Yeah, he had incredible knife skills. Probably the best I've seen taking apart like the collar, the neck, which again is like longer on a horse than a cow.
Yeah. I boned out an alpaca shoulder once and I didn't know when it was going to end.
Yeah.
Getting down to the neck.
It's like the vertebrae just kept going, but yeah, he'd get every scrap of meat off of it.
Yeah. That's same amount of vertebrae as anything with the lumbar system, but the joints are just bigger. It's crazy.
Yeah, when I saw a bison, it was again way different.
Yeah.
But all the same. But yeah, he. I'm trying to think of. I was surprised that they ate it raw. So much of it raw.
Yeah. I'll eat beef raw. That's about it. Yeah. Maybe you should switch topics. All right. Switch. My co-host, my wife, is telling me we should switch topics.
I'm not going to be in it.
You already are. I can't edit it out. There's a music track in the background. It's going to sound weird. What were you doing in Italy? Or how did you go from, what was your culinary path that led you to where you are now? 30 seconds.
Italy, I went there for the desire of artisan skills, so liking butchery, farming, meat curing, cheese making. I was attracted to the culture for that.
And then just to let people listening know that you've done culinary events like out in the field, Koshan, supporting more like small farms and more of the organic movement in the past. Right?
Correct. Yeah, and I love the idea, the mentality, the Italian mentality of spending more time at the market or sourcing, so to speak, sourcing good product and then not messing with it too much. So I like that. And the meat curing, I mean, they just have such great history and it's so good.
And how long were you out there?
The first stint was 10 months, and then I've gotten to go back 4 other times since then.
Nice.
So
then, I know a lot of people are interested in curing and charcuterie just out of the sense of a lot of our people listening are like farmsteaders. Did you do a lot of curing over there, or with natural cure versus sodium nitrate, or just using salt? Or?
yeah, they're very seasonal with their curing, so it's fall time, winter time typically is when they'll do it, which makes sense. And like in Umbria, I worked for a butcher that had Cinta Senese, so it's half wild boar, half domestic pig. They raise those, and then regular hogs as well. And they would cure their prosciuttos, and then other whole muscle, cured like copas and lomos and stuff like that. And it's so much environment. It seems like the techniques are very simple, but it's really just having the curing in the environment to control the aging process, the curing process.
Yeah, I know a lot of people struggle with recreating what essentially was a natural environment for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So were people working with trying to recreate an artificial environment such as a cure chamber, or were they relying on actual more cellar style?
One of the farms they were stoked on the new technology of like with especially for the fermentation, being able to set the humidity and the temperature, which is huge. And then the curing in the aging was somewhat natural. You know, they'd open a window if it got too hot or whatever. And then that also went into the seasonality of it. Like they would do certain things at certain times to benefit from that. And but then I did a lot of fresh stuff. Like Dario doesn't do any curing or anything, and he basically just gets in saddles attached to legs, and he brings in whole animals as well to supplement.
That's a name that a lot of people are going to recognize, Dario. Could you tell us your relationship with him and what you were doing?
Yeah, Dario Cicchini. I first got to work for him in 2007, and he has an empire now of butchery and restaurants, and it's been cool to watch that evolve.
I would like to say that he's probably the most recognizable butcher in the world until Salt Bay came around a few months ago.
Yeah, he is he's a force, and it's curious. Yeah, it'll be curious to see what happens to that empire that he's created, and I don't know anyone that can sustain that. You know,
what I like about him is that he did a whole hog demo, and a bunch of animal rights people showed up to protest, and he went out there and met them all, was all like shaking their hands and taking pictures with them and posting it on social media, and just this is all secondhand I got from someone. So, yeah. I haven't met him. He just seems like a really nice, passionate guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And he first got attention for when Italy had mad cow disease, and he did a funeral for the Fiorentina steak, which is like a huge porterhouse, just a thick cut porterhouse, and so yeah, that's what got him some attention. And then the book Heat, I think, really drew, and Alice Waters was a regular out there and got him some attention, and I got connected to him through an LA Times food writer, friend of friends, and yeah, so since then it's just blown up.
Yeah. And then since then you're obviously back in America, and you were brought on board for a shop in where you live now, Jacksonville. How was that experience, transferring what you learned overseas and then in your culinary venture to help get that project launched?
Good. Whole animal butchery is really difficult in this country just because of the mentality of the way people shop and eat. And it ends up, there's a lot of the animal that doesn't get used or wanted, so you either have to get creative and repurpose it, and not even repurpose it, but create something with it, to value-added products or whatever. A lot of grind, having the ability, some sort of outlet, a food source, whether it be lunches or what have you, seem to make the best. And then just teach the educational process, teaching people about different cuts.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, is educating the public when the public essentially doesn't want to be educated.
Right, and then the other deal is like, well, yeah, you get to get, say you really like flanks or flats or teres major or something like that. Well, there's only 2 of those per animal, so it gets challenging when to sell someone on a certain cut, and then you've only got 1 or 2 of them. That's just the reality of it.
Now, do you think the culture in America towards meat is going to move more towards small shops, or do you think the big players are going to integrate the buzzwords of organic, free-range, grass-fed?
Oh, man. Well, the hope is that the community will support something like that, but the reality is it's very expensive, and it's tough to compete with them. Our whole grocer in Jackson just got rid of all their Applegate and different types of organic products, and went with Boar's Head, but Boar's Head had all these they're a simplicity line or whatever, so basically they were trying to brand it like this farm fresh kind of deal, but it's really Boar's Head.
Yeah.
Which is just a huge corporation, spends a ton of money on advertising. So it's interesting. It seems like the corporations are picking up to that and going for it, trying to make it look more farmer.
Oh yeah,
on the table or what have you.
Painted Hills is, everyone associates it around here as a grass-fed, grass-finished beef. But Painted Hills, have you worked with them?
I remember them, yeah, back when I was working in restaurants here.
Yes. So, Painted Hills, I was on their website, and it says, our beef is fed an all-vegetarian diet. Which,
well, I'd hope so, yeah.
Yeah, but it never says grass. And then there's one line in their website that says, "We would like to thank our co-processors, Tyson, for taking us on board."
Oh, damn.
So, and they started off as a very grassroots campaign, I guess.
And then
Yeah.
almost like a co-op of farms, right? Small farms.
And I don't want to say, like, shame on them for being successful. I still like Rancid, even though they started off as an underground punk band.
Sure. Yeah, it's a fine line. Snake River Farms is a big brand as well that with the American Kobe, and that's kind of an umbrella term where you can just have whatever percentage of Angus mixed with Kobe.
Yeah. And that's what I'm seeing online a lot now on social media is people pretty much just drooling over Wagyu and Colby beef, just showing these super marbled cuts.
I like the Wagyu, but I like it to have some flavor too. Like it needs to be. The stuff they had at Cake Bread was great because they were animals roaming around pasture. You know, I like to have some flavor to my meat. I don't want to just chew on straight fat, or whatever, or just have it melt.
And when I heard that what you're doing over at Cake Bread, that sounded like a dream job to me.
Yeah, except for the owners.
Yeah, I kind of had the same experience when I was working at a place up here. Instead of the place would be great, instead of the customers, the place would be great if it wasn't for the owners.
Yeah, micromanagement was a little overwhelming and just, but they also wanted 100% Wagyu, which is like getting a purebred anything where there's more problems. Like the ranch manager was a super smart guy, and he had mentioned like even if they could have just put like some red Angus or something in there just to help balance out, you know, things that they were dealing with. But I remember we slaughtered, I think, a 7-year-old heifer, and it was some of the most flavorful beef I've ever had, hands down, and tender too because of all that fat. So I mean, old animals are always flavorful, but it's usually not very tender meat for steaks and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And then right now you live in what I would describe as paradise because I've visited it.
Yeah.
And which is Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's beautiful. And how's the culinary scene out there? And then what fun projects do you got working on right now?
Yeah, it's a very seasonal town and a beautiful, I'd say, an outdoor paradise for sure. Right now, gearing up for summer, which is go time. Summertime's busy time, and it's mostly I do all private parties and catering essentially for fancy folk.
Fancy folk who want that event to be perfect.
Right, and to show off their huge 10,000 square foot homes and all that. And we provide just a fine dining experience at their house, which is a blast because I get to cook great food, work in stellar environments, and be appreciated by these people that are pretty well regarded in their trade and craft. Yeah, we've got Outstanding in the Field event, which is at Mead Ranch, and that's a big, it's nationally recognized. I think they do 90 stops a year, and that's one big table, 140 people out in the field cooking everything.
Okay.
All the grill, pretty much, and that's sweet. I like that idea. I like that connection, getting people right on the farm, right where the meat's coming from, and then all the produce. It's just.
And that's Outstanding in the Field. That's something that's open to the general public. You go to their website and buy a ticket.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that we'll end with this because we're at a family dinner party, and we'll get back to it.
Nice.
What is standing in the field for the listening audience?
Yeah, it's kind of like a group of carny folk, almost is a good way to describe them. They travel the country, and the premise is bringing the restaurant to the farm instead of the farm to the restaurant. And so they'd set up long tables in these kind of cool, unique outdoor spaces. And then everything's cooked outside, and then everyone eats outside as well.
Yeah. And how many people attend this event?
We cap it usually at 140 for the Jackson event, which is a lot of people to serve all at once.
Especially in a non-traditional kitchen.
Correct. Yeah.
That sounds like
and
a
just
nightmare.
Yeah, it is, but it's just a lot of planning and prepping, and then
Being
that,
like MacGyver, just figuring it out.
yeah, just knowing, and then like planning the menu around showcasing great vegetables, and then the meat. We're gonna do like a pork ballantine this year, so get kind of like a mid-size, almost just beyond a suckling pig, but completely debone it, and then make a force meat. Then sew it up, tie it up, and basically like a porchetta or a ballantine. So we'll do that, and we'll have the hog farmer slicing that up. Nice. And then the ranch that hosts it is the cattle ranch. So we're gonna do all mixed grill of their beef, and yeah, it's awesome, man. It's so great to get people just there on the farm, and I like that. I like that a lot. I like bringing people together, eating and drinking.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what food does. It brings whatever tribe you're a part of, whatever group you're associated with, and brings all groups together.
Yeah, exactly. And the more I get to travel, the more excited I get, and it's fun because, a pig is a pig is a pig, more or less, and everyone the world over does something different with them, so it's always exciting to learn about that and taste it.
So I encourage everyone to travel and do whatever they can to learn the craft. Yeah, that's how we end it.
Big special thanks to my brother-in-law, Joel, and my entire in-law family for letting me hijack a dinner awkwardly. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to support the show, please go to iTunes and type in Meat Block, give a review, and leave a comment. That's the best way to support us right now. If you want to get in contact with us, you could email us at themeatblockpodcast@gmail.com. You could tweet us at themeatblockpod or Instagram at themeatblock. If you want to get a hold of me, you could do so at American Butcher on Instagram, at American Butcher on Facebook. And even though David's not here, you could reach him at A Farm Butcher on Instagram. So please hit us up on all those platforms if you have an idea or suggestions for future shows. I think we're going to start doing a lot more special guests, a lot more interviews. Feedback I've gotten on the Rod Slater was very good. That's why I've been holding on to this dinner conversation for a while. Didn't know if it would really play out, but I think hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Real quick, I want to say we are working on Retail Horror Stories ticket number 2. So if you got those amazing stories about those terrible people that you've worked with, or customers, etc., something blow my mind. So email us, tweet us, whatever. We also have a Facebook group, the Meat Block Pod. Those stories, love to hear them. I want to, each time I do this, I want to outdo the previous one. So send me those stories. Remember, I'm not going to be able to verify if it happened to you or not. Just joking. I do want authentic stories. And thanks to TKE Pete for the lovely comment on iTunes. And if you want to be cool just like that cat, go go to iTunes, click review, and leave a comment and leave some stars, preferably 5. And our intro music is Ring the Bell, and eventually I will play that entire documentary from Union Pacific. It is awesome. If that's something you guys are interested in, it works out audio very well. And our outro music, if you haven't guessed it already or haven't been thoroughly creeped out, is Goodbye Horses.